She's with the Harrington Center for the Arts, and they just got some grants.
Ah.
Maybe know some loops.
Maybe knows who we can talk to, huh? Okay. Does it show that we're on yet?
I don't know yet.
Okay. But I think we might be there.
Yes. Haha, we're back again.
Good gravy. All right. That's what happens when you start poking fun at government grants.
Right.
They boot you off the internet.
We have this thing called Big Brother that watches us.
Technical difficulties.
And they're like, we'll just take away your Wi-Fi.
There we go.
That'll teach
them. Who knows? Athletes, viewers, listeners, welcome to One-on-One with Coach Blu. It's good to have you all here for part 2. Not sure what that was about. So must be the gremlins in the line or something, huh? Anywho,
it off.
We were just in the midst of talking about ways that you can support Team Addict to Athlete. And one way that I'm just always so thankful for to read this list is our Patreon subscribers. I feel like Patreon's a great way to help Addict to Athlete because we give you something back.
Yes.
It's, giving us donations. That's fantastic. But Patreon means that you also get something in return. From bonus episode, merchandise, exclusive offers, shout outs, personal time, one-on-one with Coach Blu, all that stuff for counseling, guidance, and therapy, direction. Shoot, you pick your tier for $2 a month. You can get all of our bonus episodes. Well, hopefully that's worth $2 a month.
I hope so. I think it's good content. We've gotten great feedback from all of our Patreons so far about how much they appreciate our bonus episodes.
And we'll have a new Patreon post tomorrow. So you guys can jump on and get the next bonus episode tomorrow. To do that, you can jump on patreon.com/addictathlete. I always say backslash.
Or forward slash.
It's a slash, right?
It's a slash.
We should just say slash because that's kind of what it is. But yeah, you can do that. Jump on, find a tier that works best for you. There's many to choose from, and I really want to thank all those who have done that and really helped us kind of create some cool stuff here. There's neat opportunities on the horizon too for things that Team Addict Athlete's going to do. One thing I want to do real quick too before we give our Patreon subscribers, maybe we'll do it towards the end, is thank everybody for coming out for the No One Left Behind race.
Yeah,
that was an awesome experience.
Great time on Saturday doing a 10K.
10K. We had runners and walkers and everybody in between,
you
right?
have to stay in a team of 3 to 5 people within, I think it was 20 yards of each other the whole time. So that you're doing it together as a team.
And it was a good experience. We had a lot of people come out. I love the fact that Coach Jensen had thought about this, and who knows what's going to come in the future. But saw a lot of our Patreon folks out there. Some of them were wearing their gear. Did you see that?
Yes.
I loved it.
Kenny wore his, exclusive champion gear because only Patreons get that shirt.
That's true. So I want to thank our super fans, Jerem Thurston, Holly Davies, who taught last night our meeting.
A phenomenal job.
Holly, you're a rock star.
For never doing that. She's really, kind of new to the team. She got up at the large, and we had an extra large group last night.
I love the fact that she said she was a 5th grade teacher and she was nervous because I was in a 5th grade maturation class today and I was nervous and I was just listening. So Holly, you're a rock star. We got Scott Foster, Coach Chris Williams, Brett Frew, Chelsea Olson, Antonio Dominic, and the Warrior Within podcast, Personal Development by Sensei KP, who was at our 10K.
Yeah, got to meet him for the first time in real life.
A lot. Is that the first time you've met him in real life?
Yeah.
You're joking.
He's come to our meeting a couple
times. But
I've
been there. You haven't been. Oh.
So that was the first time.
Well, me and Sensei, we're like old friends now.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, because you guys chat on funny things on Facebook too.
We do. We banter back and forth. Our rookie level subscribers to Patreon, Josh Hansen. Hope you, Josh, you're getting better from COVID. You should be on the other side of this by now, right?
Yeah, I think
Josh,
I saw he posted he went outside for the first time in over a week, so hopefully he's feeling better.
Yeah, I think he was like Gollum coming out of the cracks in the hole, trying to find the sun. Josh, hope you get better, buddy. Kenny Roseman, thank you, Kenny. Earl Dyer and Joe Jackson, you rookie level subscribers are awesome. Thank you so much. Pro level donors to the Patreon. Selena Armitage, and Gary Thurston, who looks absolutely stellar in his cycling kit.
He got the brand new Addict Athlete cycling kit, like a few of our other athletes, and he looked phenomenal.
We have a cycling team that's coming up here soon, going down to St. George, that I'm going to have to finagle and see how I'm going to get down there, but it's going to be great.
Blue kind of double booked himself.
I did.
Which he's really good at.
But I really think I'm going to be able to make it. I really do.
I don't know.
I think I'm going to be on that starting line.
He really does plan 2 things at once and doesn't look at the calendar.
It's the ADHD in me. I'm sorry. Our championship level subscribers, Shad and Freya Robinson, the Robinson Caruso out there, right?
Yeah.
We have to push Emma. Good to hang out with Shad.
Emma and Leah even was on a team. Emma's twin sister, who is.
Did you see her rocking her headband?
Yeah, 9 years old.
So cute.
She's so cute.
She's growing up, that kid.
Yeah.
And last but not least, to our championship level subscribers, thank you so much, Ron and Dee Loesch. All you Patreon subscribers have really just helped Addict to Athletes movement. And I hope the bonus content's helping. Like I said, we have another episode dropping tomorrow. If you want to learn more, jump on patreon.com/addicttoathlete. So thank you all. Marissa, believe it or not, even though we've had these technical difficulties, I've got a lot of questions here. These are coming in kind of hot and heavy too, because we don't get to go through too many of them. So we might want to start with a few of these.
Yeah.
To get them kind of out there. But, feel free to jump online if you want. You can follow the Zoom link. We can get you on the air with myself and Marissa. Yeah. Or if you are camera shy, we can take your question and read it in behalf of a proxy for you. Uh-huh. You can submit those through either the website and our email or through the Facebook page.
You can also get on the Zoom and just type in the chat window and let us know your question that you don't want to come on live, and you can watch and listen through there.
There are a lot of different ways. So, before the gremlins turn our internet off again, we better jump right into this. All right, Marissa, this first one. Hey, Coach Blu and Marissa, I've recently got my life going in the right direction. And as a vast contrast to my using days, I'm looking forward now to finding employment. I actually had an interview on Monday, but I really feel like I blew it. Why am I so in my head? Why do I feel so inadequate? Why do I feel like a loser?
Aww.
Oh, well, maybe we should have not had that last part there.
Yeah. All
right. Let's talk about getting back into the workforce after addiction, after, a stint in maybe treatment or whatnot.
Great topic.
I don't know how long it's been since you've had a job. There's a lot of jobs out there right now. And I would say, the first thing, let's talk about that first thing, why do I feel so inadequate?
Yeah.
Right. This is something that I think, Marissa, I'd like to get your point of view on, because when you decided to move out of your career for a period of time to help raise the kids,
yes.
Getting back into the workforce was interesting for you because you'd had conversations and some business meetings with kids for the last umpteenth years. And so I remember you saying, like, I want to have adult conversations. I'm kind of done talking about pooping, and I'm done talking about the wiggles.
That's what makes me laugh, because I remember wanting to I want to be a professional again. Like, I love being a mom, but let's get back in the workforce. And I remember you and I going to, I think it was like a business meeting like 4 years ago at Tucano's. And I turned to you and said,
oh, yeah,
I need to go potty.
I remember that.
And I was just like,
you're like, I need to go.
I'm around.
Do you need me to hold your hand?
Children, too much. When that is the first thing out of my mouth. And I'm like, okay, maybe it is going to take some adjusting to become a professional when I say I need to go potty.
The inadequacy. Did you feel like, I mean, you are a recreational therapist. That's a degree and a license that you have.
Yeah.
Did you feel when you got back into it that you were rusty?
Yes. I've always been a pretty confident person, and I was pretty confident. In fact, the first job I got coming back into the field, I pretty much told them what I wanted to do and kind of created a position for myself and got hired.
Yeah.
So I was confident, and then like going to work and like the application of, oh yeah, I haven't done this really for like 10 years. I got scared.
Right.
But I remember you just trying to reminding me, like, take some deep breaths. You know how to do this. You know how to do this. And that's a lot of it. I just had to just remember, it's like getting on a bike after you haven't ridden for a long time. Like, you know how to do this. Yeah. And I think most people know how to work and how to be a good employee.
Right.
It's just, taking some deep breaths. And some of it is faking it until you become it. I remember first doing some, rec therapy groups. And years later, one of my very first clients was then working at the treatment center with us. And I remember talking to him and him saying how scared he was. And he thought I just did such a great job. And I just made some huge impacts on his recovery. And I said, that first while you were in treatment, I was scared. I was pretending.
And he was blown away by that.
And he just thought I knew exactly what I was doing. Yeah. So
because I like it when, especially when I work with interns and stuff, and they get real nervous because they're like, oh, I'm just early in doing all this counseling stuff. And I'm like, but you're the professional, and they don't know that. So if you walk in with an attitude of, I've got this, even if you don't have this, they're not going to be able to tell the difference.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when you see some of these guys that pull pranks that dress up and they have like, they carry a ladder into like a movie theater, and they're like, we're here to check, the AC unit, or whatever.
Yeah. And no one questions them because they're confident. They know what they're doing.
Absolutely. The inadequacy might come because it's been so long since maybe you've had the job. And I hope it's not coming from maybe feelings of weakness that you have for yourself, because really being honest about your job history, about, some stuff that you're willing to learn, be yourself. One thing I know about people with addictions, specifically when they come out of it, is that you guys have superpowers, and you're forgetting how strong they are.
Yeah.
You have the ability to create things out of nothing. You have the ability to overcome, challenges, adversity. You get too much in your head because I think you're maybe trying to impress too much.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Be yourself.
Well, and there's a difference between show some confidence in, I can do this, or I'm going to learn how to do this and catch on, and be patient with yourself, but also some humility and being open to learning from others. And there's a good balance that can keep that. If you just come in overconfident that you can do anything and everything and you're screw up, it's not going to help. And if you come in underconfident, like, I can't do this, I don't know what I'm doing, and you're just really insecure, it'll be hard to learn in that environment. And other people, coworkers, may be like, I don't want to work with this person because, they don't know what they're doing.
They don't know what they're doing.
They feel unsure of themselves, so I feel unsure of working with them.
Yeah. The loser part, take that off your resume, because you're not. Even you going out there and getting your these experiences. One bad interview is tools to learn from the next positive interview. And it's going to take a little bit of time for you to start feeling comfortable again. I wouldn't get too down on yourself, and then really make sure that you're not in your head, but you're in your heart. And I think that's kind of it's kind of a precursor. If you need practice, we have athletes. In fact, Marissa told me yesterday, we have an athlete that works quite well, helping people with job stuff and getting some things taken care of. And so we can point you in those directions.
Yeah,
if you want to practice.
Different ones. Somebody that's great with taxes and
from creating resumes to all those job skills. And we know enough people in the HR industry that if you wanted to maybe get some tips, just let me know and we can get you pointed in that direction.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good one. And sometimes practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. And so don't worry about that job that might have got away, because I'll guarantee you it didn't go as bad as you thought. It's just you're not used to it yet. Does that make sense? So, Marissa, this next one, I'm really going to need your help on this, because I've heard it, but I don't really know exactly what it is. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
I've heard about it, but it says, and I'll tell you who this is off the air.
Okay.
But he says, "Hey, Coach Blu, I need to ask you, what are your thoughts on California sober approach?" So I know a little bit about what this is, but I don't know what this is.
I've seen a lot of stuff on social media. I have not looked into it as much as I should.
From what I've gathered, it's saying that you are in active recovery, but at the same time utilizing alcohol, marijuana, and possibly hallucinogens. Which I'm thinking the only thing you're missing there are the opiates. So
yeah, Demi Lovato sharing something about,
is that who it was?
Yeah, that she's California sober, explaining the meaning of,
Are you looking it up right now?
Yeah, and I know it was Demi Lovato. I'm just trying to find some other specifics. I should have.
Well, let's talk about the difference between continued use and trying to mask it under MAT, right? Yes. Because harm reduction and MAT isn't, having, a polysubstance, drug use dependency, right? It's not about using like, specific drugs to try to avoid one drug. I think harm reduction, we've got to get real, I think, clear on what that is. Yeah. MAT and those things are fantastic, but when you're using things like hallucinogens and you're using marijuana and you're drinking alcohol to stay away from cocaine, it's like, well, that's like the Uncle Buck approach, right? Yeah. If you guys haven't seen Uncle Buck, watch it. You'll know what I'm talking about when he talks about how he's trying to quit smoking. I also think we need to be cautious on being too, this might sound kind of funny, but being too accepting of some of this stuff. And what I mean by that is, I'm seeing a huge shift in the treatment recovery industry, in the treatment world, where, people get very defensive when it comes to, you can't tell me how I recover. And that's very true.
Yes.
But you have to not be kidding yourself. One of the things I've always loved about, the 12-step coin that you'd get, old Shakespearean quote on the back, to thine own self be true. Yeah. If you're trying to still mask a lot of that stuff with substances, whether you're using that legit
to get high
or you're going to use it to get high.
You're using it to survive and become a good citizen and family member. I don't know. Everyone is on a different path and a different level of recovery. Yeah, I don't really believe you should call yourself sober if you're using substances to get high, like this California sober thing. But guess what? Recovery may not be 100% abstinence for everyone.
Which is so against the grain.
I know it is.
It is. Yep.
And so guess what? Some people may drink a little or even a lot here and there the rest of their lives. And that's okay. If they're okay with it, that's fine.
I know for me, I can only speak for me and me personally. I know that would not work for me. I know if I tried to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to be California sober, but I'm going to smoke weed and drink. There's no way. I know myself too well. I know that it just takes, again, another drink or another hit to not worry about the problems or the situations that I've got to be concerned with. To detach me from things that I've worked hard to recreate, my life, establish a family. I can't imagine, and I know this is hard, but for me personally, I cannot justify coming home and drinking myself to sleep at night and missing the conversations with my kids, missing opportunities to drive them to and from, like their own experiences. This is their childhood. And if I'm inebriated through it, I'm going to miss it. And then they're going to grow up and then, it's no more, what's the cats in the cradle song? It's like, they're like, they don't got time for me. I know what it's like to have a California sober mom and a California sober stepdad. I know what that's like, and it sucked. And so for me in my world, I can't.
So those are two things, and that's identifying.
Well, I can't. I'm not going to, I should say.
What are your goals for your recovery and self-awareness?
Yeah.
So it's up to all individuals. They have to decide what is their goal for their recovery or their life. They maybe don't call it recovery or don't call it sobriety. What are their goals for their life, and becoming self-aware of where they are, where they're going, how they're doing.
I think that might be
individuals.
That might be a good avenue, because I think it's when they use the word sober.
Yeah.
in
and
there.
people take
They get
that
offended.
offense
Yeah.
to that because they have their terminology for it. And, well,
Yeah.
then just say I'm living my life.
And don't get me wrong, MAT works. I've seen it, but I've also seen it abused, and I've worked for programs that have given people, like marijuana cards. And I'm like, as I hear the person just outside my office, like doing cartwheels and cheering and like pumping fists in the air saying, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." I'm like, I've never come out of a doctor's office being prescribed omeprazole for heartburn and been like, heck yeah, woo. You know what I'm saying? I've never done that. So I'm like, all right, we've got to really kind of check that stuff at the door. And
that is a self-awareness thing.
It is.
And if another person is just so excited like that, that's sad for
Interesting.
them. To me, I have empathy and sadness for them and their perspective.
I remember working at a treatment center.
It doesn't mean I have to go and force them into my perspective.
I remember working at a treatment center where the doctor had prescribed ADHD medication. Mm-hmm. And the client was giving the staff a hard time because they ate before they got their medication, and he was proclaiming that he missed his dose. And I'm like, that seems like drug-seeking behavior to me.
Yeah, I think you're saying something about, he wouldn't get the right metabolism.
And I'm like, dude,
working into the medication if he had eaten before, and like,
it says on that not to take on an empty stomach. But the thing is this, to thine own self be true.
Yep.
Okay. You have to be able to understand that.
And in the long run, if you're cheating yourself, you're cheating yourself. Yeah. You're not cheating anyone else, sadly. Yeah. So
if it works for Demi Lovato and for whoever else wants to be on that, well, then that's 100% you.
Yeah. Don't let it get you so frustrated and tied up in a knot that you're freaking out about it.
I see when people start advocating for that stuff too, it's kind of interesting because, again, I think it boils down to context. When they legalized marijuana in Colorado, there was a big, huge movement, and they had a big smoke out on the lawn of the Capitol. Yeah. And it was very counterproductive to like what they were aiming for. It's like, you guys are rubbing that in the face of everyone, and then you're acting like children, like smoking weed. Oh, we can smoke weed on the Capitol steps. Well, fantastic. And then it showed
great representation.
It showed afterwards, and there was like trash and garbage everywhere. And I'm like, noted. Yeah. So I'm like, what? The people that really need this kind of stuff and that use it, you don't see them, I'm going to say that. You don't see them marching in parades. You don't see them waving flags. You don't see them on the steps of the Capitol smoking weed. They do it very much because it's,
they're using it for
a purpose.
And to help with an ailment.
Absolutely. I was talking to a good friend just the other day who was telling me how easy it was for him to get prescribed medical marijuana. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it's sad because he's like, I don't need it, but hey, why not? Yeah. So I'm like, geez.
And again, you're going to have self be true. And you're going to have good doctors that, really make it understanding their patient and if they really need it or not. And you're going to have bad doctors, but you'll find that with every medication.
But the residual
you'll find it with people that want to push for more medication than they really need. But
the residual effect, you had COVID in February and you were experiencing some severe pain, headaches that were just like migraines, and going to doctors to get things checked out. And when you didn't get, 2 tests came back negative. Yes. And you're like, I need something for this pain. Yeah. And it was like, we felt like drug seekers. Yeah. And I'm like, it took.
But I didn't care. I was like,
But here's the deal, though.
I know the pain.
That shouldn't be the case, though, right? Yeah. But why is it the case? Is because everything that precipitated up to that point. Yeah. And so it's like, you guys, we do a lot of harm at the same time as we're trying to get the benefit from it. So we've got to start acting like adults, I think, maybe. That could help a little bit. I don't know.
If people had a little respect for themselves, respect for others, but that's a little too much.
So I don't know. In most cases. I honestly don't know Demi Lovato's story. I don't know why she feels it necessary. Maybe she has a very good reason for it. I don't know. Yeah. So I can't really give my thoughts too much on it, other than I know it would not work for me. It wouldn't work for me.
Yeah. And again, I don't know if you really should call yourself sober. Just say I'm living my life, and this is how I'm living. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah.
If that's her choice, that's her choice.
Absolutely. I'm living my life. Yeah. All right. What we got next?
We've got Donnell. I'm going to move over to.
Awesome. It's been a minute since we've talked to Miss Donnell. I wonder what she's been doing on this tail end of COVID.
Yeah.
Let's see how she's doing. Kind of an interesting concept, that California sober thing. Yeah. I don't know what it is. So we'll see what happens. Miss Donnell, welcome back to One with Coach Blu. How are you doing, milady?
I'm doing good now. Yeah.
Nice. Where are you? That looks mountainish, mountaining.
Like you're at a cabin.
Doing? Yeah. Where are you?
Well, I'm in Idaho. I'm actually in a treatment center.
Nice. Well, they've got a good looking backdrop right there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's really beautiful.
And they letting you call us like this?
So it's crazy. I get to have my phone.
That's phenomenal.
Man, you're going to have a line of people getting into that place then. Like, wait, what?
I know it. Yeah.
You know, I have been doing some really good research on different kinds and new kinds of treatment. And it really is. There is so much really just good research and evidence on the benefit of some of that. Not only like, I understand the benefit of not doing it. And, you have the 7 days of blackout. You can't call and talk to anyone. But I also understand why having connection to your friends and family while you're going through the hardest time in your life. You don't have a person come in with for cancer treatment and say, oh, these first 7 days you're on radiation. Boom. You're not talking to anyone. You don't see anyone. Right. You're here to focus on you and your health. No one would ever think that. So why do we do that with somebody in recovery?
Interesting. Well,
yeah.
No wonder. I opened this by saying we didn't know where you were. And so now we know. So
yeah.
Catch us up to speed here. The floor is yours.
Yeah.
So,
So I have been really struggling. I was toward the end of the year last year with, just being in my darkness and, with the whole requip thing and the psychosis and all of that was just,
Yeah.
But anyway, and just kept telling myself, I can lick it. I can lick it. I can lick it. And one day just got to the point where, I kept reaching out to people and through, many different circumstances, I would just find myself trying to struggle through it on my own.
Yeah.
And, one day I just was like, I used to believe I could do it on my own, but, so I think that the universe just finally got to the point where they just said, there's more to be done. You got some more stuff to do. And so I knew that EMDR was something that I needed to do.
Yes.
And I don't have the resources in my town to do that. And so that was one of the biggest benefactors of picking this place was,
Awesome.
that I would be able to get the EMDR. And it's amazing. I love it.
It works well.
So you looked for what you needed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I did a session of EMDR today with an adolescent that I'm working with, and within probably 15, 20 minutes, he had completely processed and was just like, I cannot believe that this has been lifted. And he was just kind of shocked. And I'm like, yeah, it's a very real tool that can be used. So I'm glad you found a place that's confident in it.
EMDR therapy is so helpful.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly it just really kind of like I've seen even other people transition, that have made that transition from something that they, have spent, just in treatment alone, days and days and days and weeks working on some issue. And when they finally break through with that EMDR, it's like their whole life they're a whole different person. And the light that comes out of them is amazing.
Well, the beauty of it is it's what you have inside you anyway. And it's just being able to play the story all the way through, to see both sides of the coin and then what the coin's made of. I mean,
I think I look at EMDR as being the absolute ultimate of erase and replace.
Yeah.
That is our philosophy, and that's what you do.
Yeah.
EMDR is erase those negative memories and emotions that are just tied up in usually past trauma with something better and peaceful and growth and strength,
And you're experiencing that now, it sounds like.
Yes, huge. And I also did a meditation that was pretty helpful, is helpful. I'm still like going through it. I'm coming up on my third time doing this particular meditation where you meet your inner child.
Yeah.
Yeah. She leads you through meeting your inner child. And I just have had so much emotion released and negative energy released through that process.
So
That's
good,
awesome.
Donnell. That's so good to hear. I'm blown away. We were just talking about you, like, we haven't heard from Donnell for a while. What's going on? I thought you might have been on a trip around the world or something, got caught in the Suez Canal fiasco or something, but it sounds like you were taking care of business.
Trip around the world, but a trip around Donnell's world. So
that's good.
It's a good world to be a part of, I think. Well, that's good. So how long are you going to be there for?
I'm done on Sunday.
Awesome.
Good for
Headed
you,
back
Donnell.
home.
Yeah, Mike will be coming out to get me this weekend. Saturday is my birthday.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
We'll head home on Sunday. But it's really a very interesting experience because it's very much a low, or I guess a high accountability treatment center in that, they just expect you to act like adults. They give you, they don't treat you like a child, but they also don't expect you to act like a child. So
that's the beauty, though, is they're treating you like an adult. I mean, look, you're calling from a treatment center,
and it's so interesting to have that respect given and then that respect reciprocated. Because it's given that way. Then when you feel like, okay, I want to act like adult, somebody treats you like a child, all of a sudden you start acting like a child.
Well, you've seen it. You've seen when treatment centers are punitive and they try to pull the superior card, and it's like, it doesn't work. You've got to, got to have the right combination of love and compassion and accountability, and being treated like an adult. What a novel idea.
And I'm guessing that if you don't step up and act like that in return, you don't get many chances, and you're like, okay, well, goodbye. Is that how they work? Yeah.
Well, cool. We haven't really seen anybody that hasn't that's really behaved that way. So
even better.
We've had I've had an amazing group. I'm really lucky, but
to hear you say that warms my heart because I know your journey. And so to hear you say that and to try something new instead of stick to the old, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a big deal.
Really
it's a big deal.
I'm kind of proud of myself too. I was actually
you should be. Say I am proud of myself, not I'm kind of.
I am proud of myself.
There you go.
I was showing my podcast to somebody the other day, and I listened to it all the way through with her. And I was just like blown away because I was like, that girl was on fire. Like she was just.
It was like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 2 years ago. But, it kind of helped me to kind of reflect back on, allowing myself to kind of get to that victim state again and get to that state of, I can't do the things that I put my mind to and, that kind of stuff. So it was really enlightening for me to be able to, listen to it too. So
do you feel like you've been able to identify some of those things, whether it was triggers that you fell into or, into that victim state?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing for me is embracing the cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yes.
Yeah, CBT is great.
And just really kind of going down that road because so I got diagnosed with dependent personality disorder, which apparently is a pretty rare thing.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. I've seen several, but I can see why you'd fit the criteria. Absolutely. What have you learned about it?
Basically that I don't let go of anything.
Yeah.
I don't let go of relationships. I don't let go of memories. I don't let go of traumas. I don't let go of happy things. I don't let go of anything.
Even if they're not helping you.
Yeah.
Right.
Like an emotional hoarder.
Yeah, literally. And so it becomes, a like codependency on steroids.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's key, Donnell. I'm glad that you're calling because, you've had multiple treatment episodes. But the thing is if you don't keep yourself current, if you don't kind of seek out the help, and like you said, you live in a place where help's kind of scarce.
Yeah.
Things can
Rural
bubble
area.
back up. And I don't think people should be ashamed if they need multiple experiences like this, because you are learning a whole nother set of tools.
Mhm.
The recovery tools, that stuff you got when we were back in the day. But now this is
Right.
a whole new door that was open, and
Yeah.
you're like, I still need this.
Yeah. New awareness, new learning.
So what do you tell the listeners out there that are like, yeah, but because it sounds like too, you're going not just because of, the first reason we met you with addiction, but more so like, I've got to now heal some of the wounded parts of my soul.
Yeah.
That you didn't get to do while you were there,
Or
or
you did,
maybe
and then
exposed later on.
Came back up. You know?
Right.
I'm proud of you for not just trying to push through it with willpower. But what do you tell the people out there who are like, yeah, but I should be better than this. I should be okay. I know what I know.
Yeah. I've learned so much and I shouldn't be slipping.
What do you tell that person?
So the biggest lesson that I learned here, and I actually just made this breakthrough yesterday and today, is that I don't have to be. Well, not only do I not have to be, but I'm not going to be healed when I leave treatment. When my
Yes.
treatment experience ends, I'm not healed.
Mhm.
What I have to do is learn how to cope with the behaviors that are causing me to use, find a different way, right? Find a healthier way to cope with those things, because they're going to come up, and your treatment, your recovery journey has just started. So you're going to hopefully be learning and learning and learning and learning. You're not ever going to be truly healed. And so what happened with me specifically is that with the biggest issue for me with the codependency is I'm a rescuer, right? I nurture, and so I get into these sort of situations where if I can't control the situation, I get angry.
Yeah.
And I get resentful. And so because as soon as I start getting those feelings and those emotions, I automatically shut them down and I fight them, because in my mind, those feelings and emotions are wrong. They're bad, right? I shouldn't be having these emotions. And so what I learned through an experience that I had here was that it's okay to have those emotions.
Yeah.
I can feel angry. I can feel upset. I can feel irritated. I can feel annoyed.
Yeah.
But I just have to figure out, first of all, accept them, let them in, and, ride the wave with them, because by fighting them, all I'm doing is causing resentment. But as soon as I ride the wave with those feelings and emotions, and then identify new coping skills. So, what would you have done had you had this feeling when you were out there? Would you have used, or would you have gambled? And I was like, absolutely. Okay, well, so, what are you going to do in the future? Because that's what this is about. Yeah. This one incident that I had was given to me by the universe, not to teach me to overcome that emotion, but to teach me how to effectively navigate through that emotion in a way that's more healthy and not going to lead me back into my addiction.
Jeez, I know. That's some brilliant insight. I love it.
I think that's really helpful for so many listeners that it doesn't, that so many people just get stuck in their head that they have to be perfect. If I've put in this much time, money, effort into treatment and recovery, when I go home, I've got to just, have it all and not make mistakes. But that's not what
that's not life.
That's not life.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest one for me. So, going through treatment centers, it's like, say napkins over, you've got this light, and, you go through your life's experiences. And every time you have a trauma, you put a napkin over that light, and it dims the light and dims the light and dims the light. But then, you find the love of your life, and he helps you. And so, one or two of those layers come off, but then, Mark died, right? So then the layers went back on and went back on. And then I went to Mountain Peak, and 99% of the layers came off, but then I got in a car wreck, and then so that layer went back on, and so it's just
other incidents,
constant. And so what I learned is that I learned what I needed to learn at Mountain Peak. It served its purpose for me, and through this process, I'm able to, it's like I could shut the door on the things that I left up on that mountain.
Yeah.
And now it's time to open the door on new things, to try and unbury the light. And so, you never know what treatment experience is going to be the last, but at the end of the day, you just can't give up. You keep going.
Absolutely. And the goal is to be able to do that, in real time in your life. And what you said is, I hope the listeners caught that, because it's important. What you still need a little bit of guidance and direction for, right? I was able to find that in my own recovery through, getting out and doing new experiences, finishing things like high school, getting married, doing these things. And that was enough for me.
Well, and you were able to still do weekly and then monthly individual therapy and counseling, where Donnell's saying too that it doesn't have as many of those resources.
Well, and when she's carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders, because that's how big her heart is, those knees are going to buckle and bend. And so I love the fact that you just kind of gave a blueprint to say, you'll know when you're done, but you've also got to be willing to see when you need help. Donnell, spot on. Like, I'm proud of you. It's so good to hear. And you seem very confident and calm and
peaceful.
You seem peaceful.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like my sober Donnell again. I feel like I'm so excited to, get back and implement things into Addict to Artist and, and stuff. And thank God I have Terry, man. She's held it all together for me. But
absolutely. And that be proof to you that you don't need to do it all by yourself.
Right. That I can, that I can, put the ball in someone else's hands when I need to.
It's hard though. And this, it's hard because that's the same thing with Addict Athlete, when we first branched out almost 9 years ago to go to Salt Lake, I remember telling Marissa, I'm like, I want this, but then I have to give up some of it. And, it wasn't that I wanted all the glory. It's just like, I want to be connected to it all, but you can't, And so I knew my limits. So I'm with you 100% on that. It's good to hear from you. I'm so proud of you. I mean,
I miss you guys a lot.
For sure. Yeah. We'll have to have a little gathering here soon. And I'd love to hear more stories about what you've learned on this journey. It's amazing, Donnell.
Yeah, I've learned a lot. It really is amazing. And then I found it's called onlinetherapy.com. It's through BetterHelp. Yeah. The website is called BetterHelp. And they specialize in CBT. And so I pay like $250 a month, which insurance doesn't cover, but it's still cheaper than my addiction. So
absolutely.
But it's $250 a month, and I get 2 live therapy sessions a week. And then all of the cognitive behavioral therapy exercises and workbooks, and my therapist goes through it all with me. And
that's awesome.
I think learning to embrace the cognitive behavioral therapy is the big one.
It is. And that platform is amazing. That's the same concept we're building with addiction recovery with our online stuff that I can't wait to show you too, because it's going to be the same premise.
There's a really good therapist here locally that knows CBT that we know. Very phenomenal at it too.
Yeah, she's good at
it. I think that's $250 is a great price if you're getting 2 sessions a week for 4 weeks a month, and that's great too.
Good on
you.
And
then plus all of the
workbooks and stuff.
The workbooks and stuff.
And that's just learning how to train your mind and catch yourself as you're starting to go back to some of those old thinking patterns to
I love it.
Revamp it.
It's brilliant. I'm so glad you checked in. I'm so glad you checked in.
Thank you.
I am too.
when you get back.
Absolutely. Give Michael a high five for us.
Yeah.
I will. He's held down the fort again. So
I love him. Coach Michael.
That's
awesome. Donnell, finish strong. Finish like a champion. You got this. I'm proud of you.
I will. Thank you.
Keep in touch.
You guys.
Okay, love you too.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye now. Amazing. Amazing.
That's
she looked
awesome.
So good.
Yeah, she sounds
good. She sounds amazing. That you can
we talked to her.
You can feel it in her conversation.
Yeah.
What a great thing. Good job, Donnell. Well, next, what are we at?
We're at 8 o'clock, unless you have.
Well, we started late, but I do have one more, and this is specifically a question for you.
Oh, okay.
You ready?
Let's see if I can.
Okay, brace yourself, Marissa. Last time on the podcast, you mentioned recreational therapy, and I got an idea about taking my kids out on a little adventure during spring break. In the past, I've made plans, but never followed through with them.
Yeah.
So I am super excited to go out and be a mom and to prove it to my kids we can do fun things, although they're doubting it's going to happen. My question is, as I'm out there with them, either hiking or exploring, what are some activities I can do to help me rebuild trust and for them to see commitment in these experiences? So this is like parent-child stuff.
Yeah. First off, I think, yes, just following through with the plan that you make, recognizing that mostly with kids and parenting and, you need to be flexible. Maybe you have this huge, perfect plan. And if all of a sudden, the weather or a child all of a sudden
or they change the date on something.
Change the dates on things that you just become. I mean, that's the number one skill, I think, in a really good rec therapist is learning to be flexible. Just, okay, well, let's just adjust and we'll do it a different day. Or we're going to do, this micro thing rather than a full, bigger trip. And so that you still have those experiences with them, so that you still follow up and do it. The next thing I think would be working on conversation. And sometimes talking to your kids is hard. That seems really weird, but it is. There's some things that just come naturally, but a lot of times after you're the parent, if you're the parent that's just like, you need to get your homework done, it's time to do chores, it's time to do this and make dinner and put your laundry away. And then you're supposed to go on this fun activity. It's like, what do you talk about?
Yeah.
And it's hard to shift to that. But there's a lot of things that you can just Google, like how to talk to my kids. I've found lists and lists before of like questions you can ask of your kids just to start conversation, and look at them, have it written down. That's fine.
I like that a lot.
Whether it's, like if you could be any animal in the world, what would it be? And just starting some fun questions like that. Your favorite question with the kids after school is,
what anything funny or unusual happened today?
What funny or unusual that happened today? In fact, Camden came home the other day and told me without me even asking. Now I can't remember what it was. I'm trying to remember, but it was, and it's like, that's the common thing he wants to talk about rather than, oh yeah, we did math and I failed on this test, or
I need more help with reading. Yeah. It lightens it up.
And they also, I think our kids have started looking for those things so that they can report to you later.
They can find some of the funnier things, the more unusual things, so that they're not just feeling like it's this, mundane, dead drone.
Can get that way. But you can Google lists of just fun questions and, write a few down on your phone or something. And just as you're walking and talking, like starting out those questions and have everyone answer them, or just one at a time, and just starting to lighten that air of, whatever the relationship was.
Yeah. And she asked specifically about, how do I rebuild trust and stuff? And there's some fun trust things you can do where you can have them put a little blindfold on and have them hold on to a rope.
Well, one I really love, if you're doing something like this, is just called Hug a Tree.
Hug a tree.
Yeah. You just get in pairs, and you blindfold one, and you're going to carefully, and be careful who you put in partners, lead someone to the tree. So if you have a group of 6, everyone leads to 3 different trees. You have the person hug the tree. They're going to feel it, try to identify some things some characteristics of the tree. Then you come back to this meeting center, and then you switch blindfolds, take the other people out to a tree, they hug it, then you come back together, and then everyone goes and see if they can find their tree.
So you can find their tree.
And then it's just a fun,
Talk about what made your tree unique. How did you remember?
How did your tree stick out? And then obviously it's always the identifying factors, the things that make it unique and special. And you can even talk about that with yourself. And what are the unique things and special things about you that stick out that other people remember you by?
Yeah. What's funny about that as a therapist, like I can think there's like hours and hours of processing in there. It's like when you were a kid. I remember when I was a kid once, a long time ago, I was at the zoo, and I let go of the hand of probably one of my mom or somebody. And then I grab it again, but it's like, this has got fatter fingers and like a little
That's a different hand.
I look up and it's some old guy. Yeah. And, I'm like, oh my gosh, and it's kind of funny how you can kind of tell, because you're like, I know this hand.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of like process that can go in there, right? And then you can say, what are characteristics that you have in each other that you remember, that you like, and that remind you of each other? Yeah. There's a lot there.
Yeah. And so as a family, you guys can discuss those things. And
so you're saying follow through, communication,
find things
find things to talk about, and then have some activities. Yeah. And the cool thing about that is, how much does it cost to go to a park and hug a tree?
Yeah. You can
cost
do that
no money.
In some people in your yard, maybe.
Yeah, in your local park.
For sure, in a park or up the road.
Go do some tree hugging.
Yeah.
I like that.
Be a tree hugger.
One of million, tools we can use. And that's why I love like listening to Marissa talk about this kind of stuff, because there's so much content to be processed. So great question.
Yeah.
Someone likes a rec therapist.
Have a fun spring break.
We should, before we shut down, explain to the listeners and the viewers a little bit about a change in format.
Yes.
So since you are the director of the schedule, why don't you introduce the listeners into the new format for one-on-one?
Yeah. So One-on-One with Coach Blu is going to be changing. We are going to be taking next week off because we are going on vacation for spring break.
We will be hugging the beach.
And we're also meeting with some professionals down in LA.
Yeah, we're going to be meeting some professionals in Los Angeles.
Some upcoming podcast guests that we're super excited about. Yeah. So next week is nothing. Let me see the calendar. And then from here on out, we're going to be adjusting and doing Thursdays at noon. So
12 p.m.
This will be your lunch break.
And
I know it may be a little frustrating for some, but yeah, with the world opening up, we've got to adjust our schedule with certain things and our kids are doing and that we're doing. So
yep. So we'll have a lunchtime with Coach Blu.
Yeah. Yep. So it will be Thursday, April 15th, tax day, but tax day's been postponed again till May, but regular tax day at noon.
Yeah. So
and from then on, we'll plan on Thursdays.
We'll post it, submit your questions. We got lots of questions and those can be submitted anytime.
And again, they'll be coming up on podcasts afterwards. So if you miss and you can't do Thursdays at noon, but hopefully
listen to it on Friday.
An earbud in your lunch hour if you're at work, or
absolutely,
and join us still too.
Yeah, there you go. So I want to thank everybody for participating today. Donnell, it's good to hear from you again. Thank you for those who submitted questions. We've got lots of them. We'll get to them. Some of these that submit that don't make it to the show, I'll definitely respond to those and kick them back to you so you can get some answers. Follow us on all social media platforms. That's that part about helping us get the message out. Share this podcast, share this experience with those that need it. And really want to give a special shout out and thanks to Radio Ronan. Radio Ronan's been on hiatus because half the crew's got COVID. Yeah. So Chandler and Chunga, I hope you guys are feeling better. Josh, we've been talking to you. I hope you get some more sunshine. And I guess Spencer, stay away from those guys, huh? Yeah. But Radio Ronan, go check out Radio Ronan podcast. They do some great stuff. They got some good humor in there. Keep the mood light. But then they have other ones. Sensei KP's got his podcast in there. The New Day podcast, and then of course Greg's Guide to New Music. I love that one. And you haven't listened to that one with me. You got to listen to that with me. It's good. Greg's got some good taste in music. So the Radio Ronan podcasting family, we got some good stuff out there, you guys. So until next time, which will be 2 weeks from today at noon, we'll turn that mess into a powerful, powerful message.